I'm Alan Ng. I'm with Zorianna Kit, and today we review Palm Springs. Welcome to the Film Thread review show. Today we're reviewing Andy Samberg's Palm Springs, which is now streaming on Hulu. When carefree Nyles and a reluctant maid of honor, Siara, has a chance encounter at a Palm Springs wedding, things get complicated as they are unable to escape the venue themselves or each other. All right, this is a time loop movie akin to Groundhog Day. In fact, it would be absolutely impossible to not compare it to Groundhog Day. Let me ask you this: what are your thoughts about that? Do you think it's just a rehash, or did you like what they did with it?
Oh, I loved what they did with this because they threw in some sci-fi elements which you don't always see. So even though the comparisons to Groundhog Day are inevitable, it definitely has a twist on this. And coupled with Andy Samberg, who we automatically assume is going to be mugging for the cameras and being really sketchy a la SNL, he throws us all for a loop, so to speak, and really becomes this everyman leading man, which is also really impressive. So there's a lot of good stuff happening in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I like is they did expand upon the time loop. Like almost immediately, they got rid of this idea that they have to become a better person to get out of it. And then also they added two characters, Siara, the maid of honor, by Cristin Milioti. Is that her name?
Cristin Milioti.
And
pronouncing the last name.
She's good. I mean, she becomes caught in that loop along with Andy and that's how they bring the rules in as to why is this time loop happening, what is causing it to happen, and it's that revelation of this mystery. And then you also have J.K. Simmons as Roy, who's also
him.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, this is brilliant, because when I saw him appear, it's like, oh, this is brilliant. They brought in an antagonist who's caught in the same loop.
Yeah.
And and so it's a great way to just kind of set the rules, which is so desperately needed in a movie like this.
Yeah. I thought it was great that these scientific elements were brought in, because at the moment where we are personally is like we're kind of caught in a time loop as well, which makes it all the more relatable. I mean, metaphorically, with everyone being in quarantine, like we are in a bit of a loop. We do wake up every morning in the same bed, kind of going through the same day, wondering what the hell's going on? When is this going to change? And at the same time, there are lots of things happening in society where people are talking about different, spiritualities and 5D and ascension and this and that, all these theories. And this film all of a sudden kind of blends these two elements together that all of a sudden is on people's minds, but it does it in a escapist fashion. I hope I make sense when I say that. Maybe a lot of people here aren't practicing spirituality or science or anything like that, but definitely the time, the sense of time and multiple dimensions existing at the same time is very much prevalent right now in a lot of people's conversations, sort of like, where are we? What's life's purpose? We're in a pandemic. Should we be bettering ourselves, or do we just go, screw it, let's just live each day to the moment? And this movie addresses those themes in the characters' own ways, which I thought was really fascinating.
Yeah. And ironically, the themes are the same as a movie we just reviewed a while ago, The Old Guard.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're living an immortal life, and in a way, our leads here are they can't die. They're living forever. Yeah. And I think in that case they were looking at the conspiracies and the problems of the world. In this case, they're looking at relationships and this idea that maybe being in a relationship can feel like an eternity, playing over and over again. And that's what I loved about this one, is that by really taking the science and putting it in a back seat, the theme here was a relationship between these two, and just really understanding what it is to be in love and what it is to not, they do fall in that pattern, even though for Andy it happened for quite a while. Having to overcome his own problems in order to make this relationship work. And
the theme of relationships, I think, actually happens on some macro level with all the characters. There's, of course, it being set against the backdrop of a wedding, two people starting their life together anew. And of course, through some of these repetitive time loops, we realize that the groom and bride aren't maybe what we thought they were. Then there's Roy's character with his crossbow, when, every day to escape his mundane time loop, he drives all the way to Irvine, where he gets to see his kids and his wife and sort of feel some love before he knows, the day is going to reset itself and he'll be stuck right back in that hotel. So every character, even Andy Samberg's girlfriend, he wakes up to a bridesmaid, his girlfriend, even she isn't exactly what she is when we find her doing other things in the various time resets. And so there's a relationship aspect between so many couples, secret couples, couples to be, couples, current couples, how to navigate couples. So it's definitely a running theme, and it's very fascinating to watch.
Yeah, and I like the arc too, because there's a breakup that occurs, and I love how that plays out, and then I love how it plays out at the end as well too. And I wish I could say more.
I know.
Without spoiling it.
Yeah, I do want to talk about Long Island, who are the ones behind the film, because this is quite a departure for them, because we associate Lonely Island with SNL. We associate it with Saturday Night Live digital shorts like Dick in a Box or I'm on a Boat, or their early films like MacGruber or a Pop Star, and they're just very muggy, very satirical. Yes, exactly. There's not a lot of depth. Basically, there's no depth, and this film has surprisingly a lot of depth. And if this is any indication of what we can expect for them in the future, I think it's really special. They really managed to tap into something that not everyone gets a chance to really do and get to the heart of the matter.
Yeah, you mentioned Andy Samberg's performance. The one thing that came to my mind is, Andy Samberg doesn't necessarily have that great of range. He tends to play the same person over and over again, but that's not a bad thing. It just means that he understands who he is, what kind of roles he can go after, and then how he can really push that role to its limit. To say that he plays the same character all the time is like saying Groucho Marx plays the same character all the time.
I think in this case, instead of Andy trying to play funny, he is put in a situation that's a little ironic, which also is comical by nature. So he reacts to that, at the wedding when he's gone through this time loop a million times, he grabs the mic to deliver a eulogy, or he just doesn't care anymore because he knows what the next beat is going to be in this time loop. So he's able to behave in a way that's a little more laissez-faire, or a little more rude, or a little more foreshadowy, which is funny, but it's not him playing for laughs. And I think that's the difference in the Andy Samberg in this film versus the Andy Samberg of the sketch comedy films.
Yeah, I comparing it to maybe Eurovision with Will Ferrell, those are scene after scene loaded with gags and gags and gags. Yeah. In Palm Springs, it's an opportunity, and finding the comedic moments within that opportunity, which sets the Palm Springs apart from Eurovision.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so I recommended. I assume you recommended as
absolutely recommended. It's actually a nice romantic comedy, sci-fi time loop film that I think is just great for a date night, or just even a gathering of friends to sit down and watch. It's really digestible.
Yeah, we actually gave it a 9 out of 10 on Film Threat. All right. So I'm Alan Ng. I'm with Zorianna Kit, and this is the Film Threat Review Show.